Hey guys, Rhett here. What is going on? Thanks for watching. Today I have an extremely important video, especially for the people who are thinking about getting into Section 8. I wanted to provide a video that talks about the top 5 mistakes that new Section 8 landlords make. And you guys know, you go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, what do you see? You see massive amounts of wealth. Section 8, sports cars, supercars, money, jewelry. Oh, if you invest in Section 8, you could buy this, you could buy this, you could buy this, you could buy this. Nobody talks about what you shouldn't be doing or the mistakes or things to avoid. It's all very surface level information. So my goal today is to talk about the 5 mistakes that I see over and over and over again. And I've been seeing these mistakes for years and years and years, and I've had people call me for years and say, Rhett, I did this, it was a big mistake, and I need to get it squared away, or I need to start this over with people who know what they're doing. And I get the same things over and over and over again. So I want to talk to you today about the 5 biggest mistakes that new Section 8 investors make when they get into this area of real estate that they don't have as detailed of an understanding with. And that's whether you're investing in real estate for the first time ever. That's whether you have a home of your own that you have, or whether you're renting. It doesn't matter what your background is. You need to avoid these things. And these are things that I work with my coaching clients on to make sure that we avoid every day of the week. And a lot of times we're rewiring people's brains and erasing a lot of what they see and hear on social media. So putting all of this stuff into perspective, I think it's going to make a whole lot of sense to you, and I hope you can find a lot of value out of this. So the first thing that is the most glaring mistake that Section 8 investors make is investing in the wrong market. The wrong market will kill you before you even get started. You are starting at a major disservice to yourself and disadvantage by investing in a market that isn't ultra advantageous to Section 8. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't necessarily mean that the market itself is just a bad market and you can't make money. It just means that for the investment that you're trying to get into, you have to make sure that the market is in an area where temperature is an important factor, and you're not going to be extremely impacted in certain times of year by whether extreme cold or extreme heat that are going to limit the ability for you to make money and limit maintenance over a long period of time. The landlord-tenant laws are extremely important in that singular market. The vendors in that market are so important. Do you have a really good realtor? Do you have a really good construction company? Do you have a really good property management company that's going to take this investment for the long term? The market itself, where is it located geographically? What are they doing politically that might impact your returns? What are they doing from a business standpoint that are going to increase costs for you based on your organizational structure? What is going on at the level of construction, where construction laws might change drastically and force you to upgrade the home's electrical or eliminate a encapsulated 50-year-old lead-based paint on your windowsills? There's so much that goes into where you invest. What are the trends in that area? Are there huge companies moving there? Are huge companies leaving? What's going on with the school system? School systems are a huge piece of this, but not in the way that you'd think. Rather, what is the Board of Education doing in that area? Are they investing more money into schools? Are they investing less money into schools? What we've seen are trends over time where less school investment, obviously, you see a mass exodus of businesses because business owners aren't sending their kids to those schools. So what market are you investing in? And with my clients, we talk about markets. That's the number one thing we talk about before we even get started, because you have to start off choosing that right market. And then, of course, you choose a market. Do you have people in that market? Do you have a team in that market, which we'll touch on here in a little bit? The number 2 biggest mistake people make when investing in Section 8 is they don't understand how much money they're going to get in rent. You can show me, and people that I talk to on a daily basis, they take that HUD FMR sheet and they shove it down my throat. They show me that HUD FMR and they tell me what they're going to get paid. They tell me what they're going to get paid despite us doing thousands of units over the years and knowing exactly what you'll get paid per zip code. But nonetheless, you need to understand what you're going to make. You need to understand what FMR is and what a maximum government allotment in that zip code means and how the utility stipend is included in that and what kind of adjustments we can make, whether we pay for utilities for tenants or whether tenants pay for utilities, the pros and cons of that, what the potential implications could be depending on whether the tenants bring a utility stipend for all the utilities or whether we pay for the utilities for tenants in exchange for higher rent. The HUD FMR is not what you're going to get. It's also an understanding of what is Section 8 actually paying in that area. I could tell you that the average median sale price of a home in Nashville, Tennessee, where I am right now, is X. But in my neighborhood, the houses are selling for Y. It's very similar. In Section 8, when you look at FMR, you could have a zip code that could be, 6 square miles wide. You could have one part of that same zip code, houses are renting for $1,000. On the other side, they're renting for $1,250. Where's your house? So understanding what you're going to get for rent based on the bedroom count, the square footage you have, the bathroom count, understanding where your house is, where it's located, and what section it is paying for other like units of size and amenity and bedroom count and bathroom count and location for the house that you own. So all that is extremely important. So making sure that we run our numbers up front and making sure that what we're actually going to get in rent conservatively still makes sense with what you're budgeting. And then conservatively is a very important part of that, because if you run all your numbers in the best case scenario, you're doing yourself a major disservice. Everything that we do from an investment standpoint, we don't run on a best case scenario. We run on a worst case scenario because we want to make sure that even in a worst case scenario, we are making money. If we're making money in a worst case scenario, then when that best case scenario comes across, we're going to be making a ton of money and our returns are going to be way better than we thought, and we're going to love this even more than we did when we started. Now, number 3. The third biggest mistake, and I touched on this in number 1 on market, but the team. And really, in reality, this is number 1. But I like doing a market first because before you get started, before you meet anybody on a team or put a team together, you choose where you're going to do this. But having a team of people who know exactly what you're investing in, the good, the bad, the potential issues, the huge upsides, where to buy, where not to buy, everything. And what really sets us apart in what we do over here, because we have all of the vendors in-house, because we have in-house construction, in-house maintenance, in-house property management, we see on a daily basis what trends are doing. So we could have invested in an area, in a zip code on a street a year ago that we're seeing people not wanting to live in anymore. So now we're setting our sights away from that area. We're seeing that because we have that data from management companies that we have in-house. So when you have property management that works with construction, and we get phone calls all day in property management that says, hey, do you have any 4-bedroom, 2 bathrooms? Or do you have any 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms? Or 2-bedroom, 2 bathrooms? We don't want the 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom. Or, hey, we need a 6-bedroom or a 7-bedroom, 3-bathroom. Immediately when we start getting those phone calls, and those phone calls start coming in from prospective tenants, hey, do you have any of this? There seems to be a lack of inventory in this. Immediately, our property management walks right across the hall to our construction and says, hey, we're getting calls out the wazoo of people that are looking for this product in this area. And then we say, okay, well, we need to change our product. And immediately that gets relayed down to us, who say, okay, we need to stop looking for houses here. We need to start looking for houses there. And then when we do find the houses there, we need to build them out for this, because we know that this is what the demand is right now. And this is what people want to rent. And then, of course, we're able to fill units faster, get better ARVs, because we have people in them that are renting for more and buying in areas that people are moving to. it is just this major snowball effect when you have the right team that all works together. And that is what people have not created. That is what we do so much better than everybody else. It's a one-stop shop where everything's controlled, and we're able to see these trend lines way before the public, years before they actually come into the data pool. So extremely, extremely important to find that good team. Of course, every vendor you have, they have to know what they're doing with Section 8. So you don't want to take a luxury home builder and have them build a Section 8 house or renovate a Section 8 house. They're going to put things in it that look great that might not be able to withstand, tenant wear and tear. Same thing with property management. Is a property management company you're using, are they managing a handful of commercial properties that might be a lot different from a Section 8 rental where you're dealing with caseworkers and housing authorities all day long? There are so many nuances and differences with the Section 8 program that make your team selection so much more important. And that is just unbelievably important to what you're trying to do. Number 4, the fourth biggest mistake that I see people making is buying units that are turnkey. A turnkey unit is non-existent. It's non-existent because when you buy a unit on market and you walk in the front door, it'll look great. I mean, you can get a video of that property and say, wow, this thing looks fantastic, and this thing's turnkey. With the Section 8 program, it's not turnkey. You're going to get that thing inspected, and an inspector is going to walk through that thing and find problems. And that's okay. That holds you accountable. It holds the tenant accountable. We now have a record when that person walks through that house of the condition of the home before the tenant moves in. That's good for us. It also holds us accountable in providing a safe living space for tenants. We know that when the tenant moves in, that home is safe because the Section 8 standards have risen exponentially. When I first started doing Section 8, you could get so many things approved that today you wouldn't even dream about. And that's a good thing. We want that. We want to make sure that the units that we're putting people in are safe, are comfortable, are clean, are nice. That is good. That is a very, very good thing. Providing housing that is safe, clean, and that somebody can take pride in. But when you buy a turnkey rental property, it's not turnkey. You're usually still spending thousands of dollars to get it ready to go. And that's not a problem because real estate investing is expensive and we're buying a house. We want to make sure it's built out correctly. But when you don't know it's going to need thousands of dollars, it can really, really hammer the returns that you have modeled or that you've expected. So making sure before you buy these houses, even if they look good, a huge, I don't want to say scam because it's not really a scam. People throw the word scam around online like it's the word the. A lot of times when you buy a turnkey unit, if the unit is coming from a flip or the unit is coming from a turnover from a property management company or something that you're buying, it can look great. And the walls can be great. The drywall, the sheetrock, the doors, the hardware, the light fixtures, the flooring, the exterior, everything could look great. Inside of the house, the things that really matter, the guts, the mechanicals, the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC, the ductwork, that is what's going to make or break you over the term, over really the long term of the investment. So making sure that that stuff is in really good shape is a whole heck of a lot more important than making sure the floor looks good and the ceiling looks good and the trim work looks tight. All that is important, of course, because that's going to impact your ability to get the house rented and impact how much money you're going to get for the house and how happy somebody is. That is without question important. But it's not a huge mistake, right? And we're talking about big mistakes. That big mistake is buying that turnkey property and not really understanding what you're buying. Just because it looks good, it could end up being a maintenance pig, and that is not going to help you at all, okay? And that is an extremely popular mistake I hear every single day from prospective clients call me, Rhett, I bought a house, I thought it was turnkey, I've put $10,000 into it, I'm out of money. And that is something that is unacceptable. We have to do our due diligence before we buy anything. And that's why we have contractors walk every single house that we buy before our clients buy it. And whether it is vacant, whether it's occupied, whether it's falling down, we look at it. That way we have an understanding of exactly what that house is going to need before it's purchased. And then the last mistake, and the mistake that is probably the most popular right now that I see. And the reason that it's the most popular is because when you go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, and everywhere you look, you see money, you see wealth, you see the illusion of getting rich quick. And there's a lot of smoke and mirrors behind that a lot of the time. But what it ends up doing is it gives people this idea that you have to buy now, and it has to happen now, and I have to make money now, and it has to be about speed, and I'm not going to be worth anything unless I build a 250 unit portfolio in the next 7 months, and I only have money for this amount of houses. And you go on social media, I go on social media, and I'm like, am I poor? Like, what is happening? And a lot of it is just flash and smoke and mirrors. And you cannot buy into it, because that is not what we are investing in as real estate investors. Real estate has never been a get-rich-quick game. It just is not that. If you want to make a lot of money quick, go take some money and put it on a small market cap cryptocurrency, or go put it in a small market cap IPO, or go buy options. I mean, if you want to gamble your money away, go do something like that. Take it to the casino. Try and day trade. That's not what this is. This is low risk, long-term wealth, giving you something that you have confidence putting your money in over the long term, that's going to build equity, that's going to grow cash flow and give you cash flow. That is what this is. When people rush this, and that is the biggest mistake, it's rushing this process, you are going to lose money. This is about taking your time, and that also includes the tenant search. When you have a house and you buy a house, trust me, I understand. You put down a down payment, 30 days later or 45 to 60 days later, depending on your lender, you have that first mortgage payment that's due. If you don't have any person in that house and you're fronting that mortgage payment, you got to deal with that. And it's not worth putting somebody in that unit just to stop paying the mortgage. You've got to find the right person. You have to think about this thing over the long term. Do I want to just grab the first applicant that applies for my unit? Or do I want to wait and choose the right person? And if it takes another 60 or 90 days to choose the person that's going to be in there for the next 12 to 15 years, that's worth it. In the grand scheme of things, paying for a mortgage or holding costs of utilities and landscape for another 2 months is not a big deal. Don't rush this process and choose the wrong tenant that's going to cost you so much more money in the long run. If they're not vetted appropriately and they end up being bad for the unit, or they end up leaving after 12 months and you have to turn the unit over and get it ready for the next tenant, and then it's more vacancy. If you can't afford to cover the mortgage for a couple months during vacancy, you can't afford one of these units. If you can only afford to put down $2,500 or $5,000 or $10,000 and have to do seller financing, I'm sorry, you can't afford to do this. Real estate is a game. You have to save money. You have to save money. Our clients come to us on average with between $20,000 and $30,000 all in. That is what you need. I don't care if you don't like it. And if you want somebody to tell you that you need less money, and then great, go on Instagram and TikTok and you'll find 50 people who will tell you you can buy houses for $2,000 or $5,000 down. Go for it. Let me know how it turns out, because only about 1% of people it ends up working out for, something extremely small. It's very hard to repeat. Save money, get into real estate the right way, and when you're ready, be patient. It's about patience and taking time. The only way you can lose money in real estate is if you buy something and try to sell it very quickly afterwards. If the intent is not a flip, if the intent is a long-term hold and you try to sell it very quickly after you bought it, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, because that's not how people make money in real estate. Long-term equity, long-term appreciation, long-term cash flow, solid tenants. Do not rush this process, okay? You put all those mistakes together and you eliminate them all, and you have a very, very successful investment that you're happy with, and you can repeat that over and over and over again. So if you guys want to do that, send me an email in the description below, and you can work with me and my team. We'll do it all together, do it with you. Otherwise, please leave questions, comments below. I'll get to all of them. We'll see you next time.